Hi, this is Gabe with HTP. Today we are going to be doing a 221 out of the box setup video and some quick settings for how to set the machine up for different materials that we're going to be welding. Alright, today we're going to be working on that 221 Invertig. This is our throwback with the retro colors on. The first thing you kind of want to do is go ahead and get whatever torch you're going to be using. In this case we're using Air Torch CK17. You want to tighten down the quarter BSP fitting, which is here, and that'll be indicated by this actual fitting, and we'll get into it later on the water-cooled version, but the air-cooled version is going to only have one fitting here. And again, want to go ahead and tighten that down with a wrench. And this is the important thing, since we are TIG welding, you do want to put your TIG torch in the negative receptacle, which is here. Next, we're going to want to go ahead and get our foot pedal plugged in. So the reason why I typically will put my TIG torch in first is to tighten this fitting down. It is a pretty tight fit when you have your foot pedal in. So when your foot pedal in, you can't really get to this unless you take the DINS connection out. So typically what I would do is just get my TIG torch in and basically work left to right. So we'll go ahead and tighten down our foot pedal, and then the next thing would be your actual ground, which the DINS connection goes right into the positive receptacle, which is on this side. Lastly, you want to go ahead and get the gas or the argon line connected and tightened down. Alright, our normal boot up sequence as you've seen. So we're going to go over some quick setup for TIG welding. In this case, we're actually going to just focus more on 2T. We're not going to get into the other modes. So the first thing you want to do is, move from whatever mode you're in to 2T. That's where we're going to want to go. Next, you want to make sure that your high frequency is turned on. By doing that, you just press the button down to shut it off. You hold it until it goes away. So we're going to go ahead and hit our high frequency on. We are not going to deal with the pulse functions in this video, but this is the pulse section. So if that light is turned on, the thing to do to turn it off would be to hold down the button until it goes away. Next thing you want to do is actually go through our settings here. So we hit the function button, and this is our pre-flow. Typically, what I typically set mine up for is 0.6, so 0.6 of a second of pre-flow. So basically you hit the pedal and you're getting some argon flow prior to you actually lighting up on it. Next, I go over to our post-flow, which means once I let off the pedal, I usually leave it at about 8. But typically you can just look at your tungsten, and if you complete the weld and your tungsten is blue color, you just need a little more post flow, so you can actually set that a little higher. So again, our pre-flow and our post flow. And as far as settings, this would be your amperage settings in steel. Depending on what you're welding, typically you want to go about 15% higher than the material you're welding. So if I'm doing 40 thousandths material, I would be sitting anywhere from 60, 65, somewhere around there, but typically you don't want to set your machine too high. One thing you will notice is this little dot that's blinking in the right corner. That's letting you know that the foot pedal is plugged in. Next, we're going to go up on our AC mode, which if you notice here, this AC light is not lit up. In order to run this on AC, you would actually hit the button, and next it will start flashing at you to tell you. So in this case, with the AC button on, you're going to have your frequency, which is here with the F button, and below that B would be your balance. So frequency right now we have it set at 200, which is the max. You can go all the way down to 20, and basically what that is the arc cone is going to fan out bigger in this, and the higher up you are, so if we're all the way up at 200, the arc cone is going to be more focused. So typically what I would run in my frequency depends on the material, what I'm doing, and the joint configuration. So if I am welding, you know, something that I need to stay on an edge, or it's a integral, like a very tight spot that I'm welding in, that I'm trying to get to, my actual frequency is going to be a lot higher. So like 200, 170 is usually where I'm sitting at. If I'm doing something that is thicker material, 1/8 inch, that I want it to heat up quicker and have a bigger bead profile, typically I run it, you know, at 60 hertz. Now, like I said, it's going to be user preference as far as what you run. Most people typically run their frequency at about 120 hertz, but like I said, it just all depends on what you're doing. As far as balance with this machine, the balance I'll set anywhere from 68 all the way up to 72, depending on the material. So now the higher I go in balance, which would be 90, you'd get less cleaning action, so a thinner white strip with more penetration, but the material that you're using has to be super clean. You can go all the way down to 10% balance, which would be the majority cleaning. You're not going to be able to weld that way because you're going to have nothing but a balled up tungsten. The lowest you can typically run without really killing the tungsten is right about 60, 50-ish, but 90% of the time I'm running dirty material 66, cleaner material I can be as high as 78 is usually where I'm at. You would have to go through it yourself and play with the settings and decide what's the best setup, but for a beginning setup, frequency I would set it at about 120 is about a good overall. Balance I would sit at 72 would be about good for your beginning settings. Those were just some basic settings that you can get your Invertig out of the box and start welding day one. If you have any questions on, you know, how to set it up for a certain material, whatever you guys want to know about it, how to run poles, stuff like that, just comment in the comment section. Make sure you guys like, subscribe so you get all the updates. Thank you.